Hey guys, it's Danielle MacKinnon here, and I am an animal psychic ready to play with you today. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the secret phrase that makes every animal communication reading awesome. It is also the secret phrase that would make any reading of any type awesome. But I like animal communication. That's my thing. Okay, so there's a way, I haven't schooled animal communication. There's a way that I teach animal communication as well as a way that I teach intuition that is different from how a lot of people do it. A lot of people approach opening their intuition with the idea that they want to do a really, really good job because they want to prove to whoever they're reading that this is real, this is awesome, they can do it, and they're doing it right. These are people who, when they start to learn how to do the animal communication or how to open their intuition, they get thrown off because we as human beings are taught that we need to do everything correctly and we need to earn our keep. Have you heard the phrase, no money, no money, no gain? No pain, no gain. Money doesn't grow on trees, things like that. So we are taught over and over that we have to prove our worth. Okay. That's a really hard thing to do in animal communication or when working with intuition. And the reason that's a hard thing to do is because if I go into a reading and I go into it like, all right, I got to make sure that I do a really good job for Sherry here. And I've got to make sure that I prove that I'm really talking to their animal. I am starting to actually take away from what the animal can give me. And I'm starting to bring my own needs into the reading. Bringing my own needs into the reading, which are to do it right, to do it well, to prove I'm good at this, to prove to the person, to make the person that I'm working with their animal have a profound moment. When I start doing that kind of stuff, I'm now approaching this reading as if I'm on one team, and that team is me, the reader, proving things, and I'm proving it to the what would it be, the opposite team, the enemy, right, which is the person attached to the animal, that I'm proving to them so that they eventually go, okay, she really is communicating with my animal. However, I don't teach people to do animal communication that way. And I also don't teach people to to open their intuition that way. What I know is that the people that I attract to me to learn animal communication also feel the same way. They want to do a good job. They want to get it right. So they want to prove their value. But here's the point. If instead you can approach a reading like you and the person you're reading, or approach the reading like you and the person doing the reading for you and your animal are on the same team, it completely changes the reading. And what I mean by that is that it puts me, if I'm doing the reading, it puts me in a position of this person and I are on the same team. We're working together to figure out whatever it is this animal is saying. And I have nothing to prove. I'm just passing the information on. If I can do that, as the reader, the information's so much better. The reading goes so much better. And if I can't, and I go into this proving mode, I'm going to have to manage my energy. I'm going to be worried about what the person I'm reading is thinking. I'm not going to catch everything that the animal is thinking. So I'm going to tell you a little story about how I see this play out all the time. As you probably know, I have a school of animal communication where I take people through the different levels of the school. Eventually, when they get through the third course, what happens is we have something called certification calls, because these are people who are like, I want to do this. I want to help my friends and my family and want to get certified by me. Totally cool. But what happens is they start approaching the reading like, I have to do this reading right. I have to prove to Danielle that I'm going to do this and that I can do this. I have to prove that to this human that I'm reading, whose animal I'm reading, that I'm going to do this. And what the secret phrase is that I ask them to say flies out the window. The secret phrase is, it's not even that cool a phrase, right? The secret phrase is, does that make sense? That's a crazy, not crazy secret phrase, right? If I instead, or let's go to my students, right, that are taking that are doing these certification calls. If my student is on the phone doing the certification call, which means they're reading somebody that I set them up with to read. And I'm listening in. If my student says something like, okay, I see a blue ball, I have a feeling of happiness, I see a big barn door swinging open, et cetera, et cetera. So as the student gives this information and then says, does this make sense? What do you think happens? It gives that human who's receiving the reading about their animal the chance to say, yes, that makes sense, or no, I don't get it. And all you have to do at that point is say, oh, no, she doesn't get it. Okay, I'm going to go back and find out more. Or it makes sense. Great. I'm going to keep going because it makes sense. So often people try to do readings, and I'm sure if you've received a reading, you've had this happen as well, where the person is doing the reading and they're going on and on and on and on and on, and you don't have a chance to go, wait, I don't know what you're talking about. Explain that more. That doesn't make any sense, because that kind of stuff happens all the time. If I'm trying to prove to you something, I'm much less likely to ask, does this make sense? Because that means I'm treating us like we're on the same team. If I'm trying to prove that I can do animal communication, instead, I am just sending you piece of information again and again and again, almost not wanting to hear from you because I'm just trying to get it right. And I don't want to know if I didn't get it right. When I calm down, just like what I ask my students to do, when I calm down, and I do the reading and I treat it like we're all on the same page. And that is the main difference between how I teach animal communication, how a lot of people approach it, which is I am teaching it that we are all in this together. We're going to work on this. We are going to figure it out. But what that means when I say if we're all in this together is not that when I say, does this make sense? Or when you use that phrase in a reading, does this make sense? That you want the human to now say, yes, it makes sense because of this and that, and this happened and that happened. If that doesn't work, now we're not on the same team. Now that person's just telling us a whole bunch of stuff. So there's a fine line to walk there when you're getting everybody on the same team. Does it make sense? Get your person to say yes or no. If someone's giving you a reading, same thing. You need an opportunity to say, hey, that makes sense. Or, oh, I don't get it. Can you give me a little bit more? It's seems like a secret phrase. It's very common. And the funny thing is my practitioners that are trained now, that phrase is crept into their normal language as well. And I use it too. I'll be speaking to my husband. I'll be like, does this make sense? But it's because I want us to be on the same page. Oh, Carol, I see Carol Lamb just came through and said she enrolled in the class and she started this evening. That's awesome. Congratulations, Carol. Actually, Carol, for this class, you were the first one to get it. Woo! So thank you for doing that. I was very excited to see that come through. Okay, so I'm very happy that you wrote that, Carol. All right, to wrap up, does this make sense? Brings everybody on the same team. In intuition, in animal communication, it's not about proving that you're psychic. It's about assisting. It's about helping. It's about figuring it out with whoever you're working with, and that's it. All right. Thanks, guys. I will talk to you soon.